Hey everybody, welcome back to The History Freak. And today we're continuing on with the Tudor Queens series. It's part 7 and Katherine Parr. Now maybe it's because people are fatigued by the time we get to Henry's last wife that Katherine Parr sometimes gets overlooked and thought of as old, uninteresting and unimportant. Well friends, don't be fooled into believing these preposterous ideas, as Katherine had an amazing life and plenty of drama. She was born in 1512, probably in the north of England, in what was known at the time as Westmoreland, which is now Cumbria. Her father was a lord and knight and a descendant from King Edward III. Her mother Maud was actually a lady-in-waiting to Henry VIII's first wife, Catherine of Aragon, and it seems the two women had a good relationship, and that Catherine of Aragon was actually Katherine Parr's godmother. A close bond was built also between Katherine Parr and Catherine of Aragon's daughter, Mary. Sadly, Catherine's father died when she was just 5, and her mother devoted herself to the upbringing of her 3 children. Thanks to her mother, Catherine was highly educated, intelligent, and spoke several languages. Fun fact: Katherine Parr has been married more than any other Queen of England. She had 4 marriages, which is only 2 less than Henry. She married for the first time at 17 to Edward Burr. The marriage lasted 4 years until her husband's death. The second marriage happened in 1534 to John Neville. The Nevilles were one of the most powerful northern families, and John was knighted for his service in war. He was much older than Catherine, and she became stepmom to his 2 children. John was Catholic and was all but forced into joining the Northern uprising against the king. Catherine and the children were kept hostage and threatened with death. Neville assured the king that he was willing to submit, and because he had relations in positions of power, his life and position remained safe. After their troubles up north, the family spent most of their time in the south and at court. It could be here where Catherine met her future 4th husband, Thomas Seymour. Thomas was brother to the former Queen, Jane Seymour. In 1543, John Neville died, leaving Catherine a wealthy widow. Having been friends in childhood, Catherine became a lady in the Princess Mary's household, and it was likely she was first noticed by Henry around this time. Catherine's relationship with Thomas Seymour had become very close, and they were looking to marry. But of course, once Henry decided he wanted Catherine for himself, he got his way, and Thomas was sent far away on work for the king. Henry and Catherine married in 1543. Now, Catherine wasn't as old as she's sometimes been portrayed. She was actually only 31 when she married Henry. She was thought to be attractive, stylish. She loved fine fabrics and jewels. Fun fact: Catherine was thought to be a tall woman, about 5'10". This would be tall for a woman nowadays, let alone the much shorter standard of the time. With Henry being over 6 foot himself, this would have made them an impressive couple to see around the royal palaces. Catherine used her position to give roles of privilege to her stepchildren, as well as other relations. Family was very important to her, and she built close relationships with her new stepchildren, Elizabeth and Edward. She took a keen interest in their education. She also worked hard to have Mary and Elizabeth brought back into the line of succession, which Henry finally made legal in 1544. When Henry left England for war, Catherine became regent. This was a big deal, as if Henry were to die, Catherine would then become regent to Henry's son Edward, until he became old enough to become king himself. Catherine was praised in this period for ruling with strength, wisdom and dignity. It was a really good example for future queens, Mary and Elizabeth. Catherine was a supporter of arts, education, and she was very interested in religion. She actually wrote books on the subject, at first anonymously, but later as herself. The books were almost her downfall though. With religion being such a contentious issue, Catherine gained enemies, including Bishop Gardiner, who was a devout Catholic and interpreted her books as heresy. The bishop actually convinced the king to allow an investigation to take place, and an arrest warrant was prepared. But becoming aware of the situation, Catherine showed courage and wisdom by submitting herself to Henry, and justified her religious conversations as a way of distracting Henry from his ongoing pain with his legs. Henry made peace with Catherine, and the danger was over. But the message didn't get to the guards, and they arrived to arrest Catherine while she was out walking with the king. Henry was said to be furious. In 1547, Henry died. Catherine was to be given respect and money as a Queen of England. However, she mostly retired from court life. She quickly and secretly married her fourth husband, Thomas Seymour. He had now returned to England. It was kept secret due to the fact that as a recent widow, the thought of her marrying again so soon, especially for a woman of her position, would have been a scandal. Having built a close relationship, Catherine actually became guardian to the Princess Elizabeth, and for the first time ever, Catherine became pregnant. Her life must have seemed so happy. But things soon went wrong when her ambitious husband started to show an interest in Elizabeth, who would have only been about 15. It's thought that Catherine even caught them embracing. Elizabeth was sent away, and they never saw each other again. In August, Catherine gave birth to her child. She was called Mary, but tragically, Catherine died about a week later of postnatal complications. Catherine may not have had as many famous moments as some of Henry's other wives, but I still think her story is really interesting. She was a survivor, at least until nature got in the way. She's a really good example of an intelligent woman of the time, manoeuvring around the tricky political Tudor court. But I also think she made some very risky choices, with her openness about religion and her fourth marriage. So I would love to know your thoughts about Catherine. Do you think she should be given more attention as one of Henry's queens? What were some of her best and worst choices? Do you think her story is positive or turned out quite sad? Comment down below any thoughts and comments you may have, and if you liked this video, please like and subscribe. And join us for the next Tudor Queens video, when we'll be talking about the amazing story of Jane Grey.